Aloha friends, and welcome to the message from the island of Kauai. My name is Tychkin and I'm the senior pastor of Lihue United Church, and I'm so happy you could join us today and share the message in our virtual space. Even though I'm not a betting man, the last time I went to an auction was a few years ago when I walked from my couch to my computer desk and started making bets online, trying to get some automotive tires on the cheap. As the price kept creeping up and the people kept placing bets like crazy, I said forget about it and bailed out. And then a few days later, I buckled up and went to a local tire shop to buy a set for my car. Did I pay too much? I guess it depends on how you look at it. It's not always about the lowest price, convenience of buying from a local business, not having to deal with shipping and do-it-yourself installation, and some free donuts and coffee are worth something, right? When it comes to value and how much something is worth, it's not rocket science because everything is worth exactly as much as someone is willing to pay. I've heard about some avid collectors who paid insane amount of money for various rare artifacts. A rare stamp that sold for over $1 million, Marilyn Monroe's white dress auctioned off for over $5.8 million, and a Ferrari sports car that fetched over $48 million. The value and the beauty of something is always in the eye of the beholder. It is easy to determine how much things or services are worth because to a large extent it is based on supply and demand. But when it comes to the value of human life, it's not so easy at all. Dollars, pounds, and various physical dimensions may help us figure out the worth of a cool sports car or a house. But how in the world do we measure the value of human life and how much it is worth? Is human life as precious as some claim it to be, or is it totally worthless and futile? And either way, who makes that decision and what difference does it really make? On the surface, it may look like a silly question, yet the truth is that our sense of self-worth plays a huge part in defining who we are, and it always affects how we live our lives. The way we see ourselves determines how we act. If in my mind, for whatever reason, my self-esteem level is rock bottom low and I feel like a failure, my actions, relationships, and everyday behaviors are going to reflect my low view of myself. If, on the other hand, I go in the opposite direction, move to another extreme, and start seeing myself as the center of the universe, sooner or later, life and its school of hard knocks will teach my inflated ego a different kind of lesson, deliver a sobering wake-up call, and adjust my sense of self-worth in line with how the world really works. Our sense of self-worth is determined by many factors, and a lot of both healthy and unhealthy experiences that shape us may come from our childhood and adolescent years. Our families, school friends, and our whole environment of growing up may affect us most profoundly in both positive and negative ways and forever influence our sense of self-esteem and self-respect. Sometimes, even as adults, we never overcome our deeply ingrained false views of who we are, and we continue to feel the need to constantly prove and demonstrate our worth to others, our families, our friends, colleagues, and even strangers, as we crave to be validated, accepted, and approved by other people. The life-changing truth of God's Word we learn from the Bible is that our real value is not determined by our assets and net worth, other people's critical opinions, our upbringing, and even our own views of ourselves. And in fact, it is defined by our Creator, God Himself. Our true identity and sense of worth comes from knowing who we truly are, God's beloved sons and daughters. We read in the Bible that we were created in God's image and that originally creation was all good. The goodness of God's creation was then marred by human rebellion against God and through disobedience. Sin and its disastrous consequences entered the world. Sin and dysfunction permanently infected our spiritual DNA, and yet in spite of human failure, God continued to love us and valued us so much that He sent His only Son to exchange His life for our sin and open for all who believe the gates of eternity in the loving presence of God. We read in the book of Galatians that God bought us with His blood. On the cross of Golgotha, God determined our ultimate value by sending His Son to die so that we who believe may live. Our value and worth simply don't exist apart from God. Yet, as we read in the book of Psalms, because of His love freely poured unto us, we hold a truly special place in the order of God's creation and are a little lower than the angels. When we finally realize how much we are worth because God loved us first, we start moving towards loving and unconditionally accepting our own authentic, real self in healthy ways. We give us permission to forgive ourselves for all our failures and shortcomings, and also freely extend God's grace and forgiveness to others. We start seeing clearly that in response to how highly God values us, we can offer nothing but our best in everything we do for God and other people. We start breathing freely, knowing that we no longer have to play the game of proving our worth to the world, and the only standard that really matters is the standard of God's abundant love. If you haven't done so just yet, I invite you now to open your hearts, trust God with your life, and let His love change your life forever and fill you with His light. Keeping you and your loved ones in my thoughts and prayers, may God bless us all.